And people like that, whenever they do kind of go all the way and experience something like that, the next day they're never like they're never happy.
Yeah.
It's always filled with like some sort of regret
Yeah.
or just kind of
Yeah.
emptiness.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily regret it, but yes, normally I could see
No,
everyone.
not you guys because
Yeah.
you guys left. But I'm saying
Yeah.
like people who like they drink or they'll do
Yeah.
drugs
And
in that
100%.
capacity.
And imagine how they felt, to dude. They were on LSD and stuff like that, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I feel like it's like one of those things where like you feel regret the next day, but then when you feel it again, that you feel that fullness again, and then the next time you go home, like the second time you experience it and you go home, you don't feel as much guilt,
Yeah.
and then so on and so forth until the guilt
Until it
just
becomes a
completely
habit?
goes away.
You numb yourself to it.
interesting.
Think about it, right? When you the people who you know who commit zina, right? We know zina is like one of the like things that like one of the worst things you can do Islamically, right? I can promise you, anybody who committed zina first time, they were guilty, but now they do it on a normal basis without feeling guilt. It's just because, like, once shaitan gets the whole of it, he
It's hard to
like
break out. It's
he
hard to
he
break through.
he makes you rationalize everything until when the rationale becomes the norm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's once it gets a hold of you, it's hard to shake that off. Because it's not even just with something as far as like clubbing or like zina or anything like that, but even just things with like greed and
Yeah.
gluttony even and
Yeah.
just
And
everyday things like that too.
let's take this on an extremely deeper level. When people are feeling this sort of way that they don't normally feel, the question is, why don't they normally feel it? And then you bring it back because they don't know the presence of God, but they witness the presence of shaitan. So they know some type of presence. But when they go back to their Christianity faith, and I'm talking about majority Christians, I'm not talking about all Christians. Some Christians are very strong in their belief and they feel very strongly towards it. But the people who don't fully believe in it, they don't feel that satisfaction of having the presence of God be in their life. And they basically they have that absence of good. And so the only thing that could fill them up is that evil. And then think about it. It's harder to even feel the goodness for these Christians, especially. We're living in a Christian country. I'm talking about Christians here. When they are told to believe in a human being as a God, it's anything is possible. Being very honest with you, if God can be a human being, anything is possible in that sense. No matter what you do, it's not crazy. It's not out of your mind crazy. If a God can be a human, that endless limitations to this world. In a negative sense. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really fascinating concept. Not one that I obviously like agree with, but it's
What part
interesting
don't you
to
agree with?
just the fact that there is a human who has powers like this. It versus like versus like in Islam.
Wait, I'm
It's
sorry.
not,
Do you disagree with the Christianity
yeah, yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes
Because it's them having a belief that there's a person who is a god versus
Yeah.
and say in Islam it's a being,
Yeah.
right? It's easier to in my maybe just because I'm biased because I'm obviously Muslim, but it's easier for me to believe that there's like a being out there, whether or not even if I wasn't like even there's a time in my life where I wasn't super religious, right? Like I would say I didn't become religious until at least freshman year of college, right? I was Muslim, but only because I was born in a
By
Muslim
name.
household. Yeah, by name,
Yeah.
right? And but I always believed that there was like a being,
Yeah.
right? But I've never once been like, I wonder if it's a person, or something
That you
as,
wouldn't what?
that I never believed that it was like a person or someone
Yeah.
who resembles
Yeah.
a human.
In all honesty, I don't want to say they've been brainwashed, but they've like me. All of us believe that nothing is impossible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
So they've taken that concept and ran with it. Like they've taken it because like because it's beyond rationale, right? I mean, Islamic, we have nothing beyond rationale. Like, but like they say, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but it's God. God can do anything. You believe that too, right? God can do anything.
It's like this weird catch-all thing of like he can do anything.
Yeah, like it's like kind of a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense, but God can do anything.
Yeah.
For me, the hardest concept to believe, and that I don't know how anyone can believe it, is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us human beings in a certain way that, number one, we're filled with flaws. We can't be perfect because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah, we praise his perfection. Us as human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, notice this. Every human being lets out waste. They urinate, defecate?
Yeah.
They defecates, they poop, whatever, What is that? That's filth. That's filth coming out of your body. For me, the hardest to believe is that they believe that Jesus is God, or even the Son of God, whatever it may be. Both.
Continue.
That God has this filth coming out of himself.
Yeah.
But my point was basically that if
Okay.
people
Yeah.
are in this belief system of that God can be human,
Yeah.
the statue and everything is not too far-fetched. The statue that can bring you power, this evil thing that I witnessed over there, is not too far-fetched. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. No. I like how you connected all that together. Interesting. Yeah. It for them it opens up so much,
Yeah.
but like in a really terrible way.
It opens up a physical world for them to worship God.
Yeah. And that's why so many of them lack the kind of spiritual
Yeah.
awareness or spiritual strength to think beyond that.
Yeah, because just
Which
like
is
you
why
said, it's hard.
which is why they're so susceptible to kind of the dunya and like material things and greed and all that stuff.
That's
Because
100% true.
there's no concept for them of a heaven or a hell or the afterlife or even the spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like what Father was saying, like there's these Christians who like there's some who do worship
Yeah.
properly and they do whatever they can. But other Christians who literally are like, oh well, I accept Jesus my Lord and Savior, all my sins are forgiven, I'm good, and that's all they do. So for them, you can't really feel that fullness of that Allah gives you if that's all you do nothing where you say I believe in Jesus so I'm going to heaven. So they don't feel that fullness. But when they see these shaitanic things and this fullness from shaitan, they latch onto it because they feel full for the first time in their lives.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Super good point. Super good.
Oh, interesting. So because they're not filling themselves with that good that you mentioned, and the absence of that, like you mentioned again, is the evil.
Yeah, the evil comes in, and then they feel that fullness, and like they feel that guilt afterward. But it's like, yeah, but I felt full. How can it be bad if my heart felt full?
Exactly. It's an evil energy that's filling them. That's getting filled up in that void. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
There's one thing I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Because we had a conversation about this briefly. It was about Skinwalkers and like.
Oh, dude.
So, which for those who don't know are like essentially like Native Americans. They believe in things like Skinwalkers, right? Which is our equivalent to jinns. And Skinwalkers are people who or things who kind of possess human bodies or they pose as humans to entice people and get them, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to, and they primarily hide out in the woods, like in natural parks all around the U.S. Thousands of people go missing every year and are never ever found.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of natives and stuff like that believe that always be wary whenever you go to natural parks, which is why I told you, like, hey, if you're going solo again, like, be careful.
Wow.
And I wanted to know if you ever encountered anything weird other than the thing you mentioned with the statue.
Not in the woods. I have inside an Airbnb that was in the middle of nowhere, I've encountered some weird stuff
Hold
there.
on, what?
Yeah, it is not as creepy as Skinwalkers. I YouTube Skinwalkers and I saw
Did you?
some images and I
Did
was
you-
like, I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh, dude, so scary.
I've been into an Airbnb where things were moved from its place. For example, me and Simra, we're sleeping in this Airbnb. We're very cautious of what's going on. She's a germaphobe, so she's really cautious about everything inside the
Yeah.
room. In the morning, she wakes up, and the drawer is open inside the restroom that's right underneath the sink. And I went to the restroom, I saw it, didn't even think about anything. I'm a guy, I don't really care about this stuff. I don't really question these things. She saw it, and she's like, ew, first of all, why'd you touch that? And then second of all, why'd you open that drawer? Now look at it, and it's not a drawer, a cabinet. It was full on 100% open. I was like, I didn't open that. And she looked at me, she's like, I didn't open that either. Who the hell opened it? The door's locked, everything. It was really weird. She was a little freaked out, but I didn't really care.
Yeah.
It was morning time. We passed on to it, whatever, no big deal. I had some smudge on my pants. I wiped it clean with a towel. I put the towel inside of a corner of the restroom. The corner of the restroom. Keep that in mind. We left the room and Simra went back to wash her hands or something, and she called me. She said, hey, Froz, come here. I go inside, and I was up. She said, why did you throw the towel inside the sink? I look, and then inside the sink was the same towel that I was rubbing myself with. I put it in the corner of the restroom. It's inside of the sink. And I looked at her, and I was like, you're going to hate to hear this, but I didn't do that either. She got the freak out of there, bro.
Wait, did she believe you?
She believed me.
Oh, damn, that's creepy.
It was pretty crazy. I went to the host of the Airbnb. I'm like, hey, you guys ever experienced this paranormal stuff? You're like, no, but we experienced alien stuff. We're like, what?
Wait, hold on, that's even weirder.
And that's even weirder.
Hold on.